everyone, it's Alysha Ellis here, and we are at Creative Meetups here, right here in Breakthrough Sound Recording Studio.
It's the place to meet other creatives, like you guys gotta get in here.
Open bleed royalty. I've never known defeat. That's for the weak, for the throne, you better show loyalty.
I'm here at the Creative Meetup. There was so much knowledge and information given, wisdom given. It was a beautiful turnout.
Can't hold me down.
I love this experience because you know why? I went to Futureland and I was like, oh my God, I gotta do whatever I can to save my money so I can get back there. And I got that same energy here.
As you see, we had an amazing turnout. If you wasn't here, you want to make sure that you're in the building next time because we getting busy. We just got grants. We giving out grants. Come on, man. Who's doing that, man? Cleveland, stand up. Let's go.
What's going on, y'all? Text Podcast Summit to 33777.
And that's right. And be at Midtown Tech Hive, 6 p.m., April 18th. See you there.
See y'all there. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Pull-Up Experience. And we have another great edition, episode 187, guys. And we have the one and only Miss Alysha Ellis, the queen of collaboration. I'm going to say it first on the Pull-Up Experience, okay?
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, absolutely, absolutely. We can, we got Brittany here.
Hey, y'all.
And we, you already know me, so it's gonna be a good one tonight. So we want to appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. So let's start from the beginning. Cleveland born and raised.
Cleveland born and raised.
Represent your hood, Alysha. What hood you representing?
Bel Air, 130th area.
Come on now.
John Marshall High School.
Come on now.
We moved around a lot when I was younger. My mom, my dad didn't really want us growing up in the city, but when we came back, that's where we planned it more so. And then the near west side with the rest of the Puerto Ricans in the city. So where you see all the flags and Empanadillas, that's where we be.
I love a good empanadilla. I'm not gonna lie to you, they're good.
Yes.
Someone had put online like, what's better? What's the Jamaican joint? What's the Jamaican patty or whatnot? Like, what's better, empanadas or?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I love empanadas.
They're both good.
Yeah, they are.
That comfort food.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let me ask you this: so where do you come from? Long entrepreneurs, or where you like the not the normal one, where like you were just oddball? You like I want to do my own thing. Like was entrepreneur like?
Yeah, I feel like I came from some hustlers for real. I didn't hear the word entrepreneur until I got to college. I'm still struggling even how to spell it sometimes. I joke about that. Is it the E or the U that comes first? But no, I saw hustlers. I was talking about this earlier at a talk I did, and I saw my grandfather. He car dealership. He had a pizzeria. He had a couple different like housing units that he had too. He was always hustling. And one thing I saw from him, and it sounds a little corny, but I remember like my grandmother would iron his shirts, and he had these shirts for the bar restaurant he owned called Fanouses. And he wore that shirt every day, and he was just so proud. And I remember like, man, I want my own shirt. I want my own logo. And I saw that when I was a little girl. I'm like, that's what I want. And so now, 31 years old and being in that space and learning to hustle, but I also feel like if he would have had the business knowledge, a lot of those things probably would have been more successful. Versus like the hustle, it's a different life.
It's different.
It's just like everything's about the dollar. He'll be at like 4 a.m. and he'll be to bed early, but he'll be on it every day. Phone ringing nonstop. But I learned a lot that I saw from him in the way that he just carried himself. As a hustler, and now like how I want to carry myself as a business person, and seeing like how do I mix the both, and really having that entrepreneurial mindset. It's a process.
Yes.
A lot of people understand the hustle, but like I said, they don't understand the business behind it though.
Yeah.
Right. And sustainability for real. That's why I saw for him. I'm like, man, he never got a day off. Like he's always in it. And I saw my grandmother's reaction to a lot of that too. I'm like, man, I wanna enjoy my labor too.
Right.
And I didn't see him do that much. But yeah, you learn as you go. But that's what I saw, and I don't think I saw many others in my family. Like now I'm really seeing other like my cousins and stuff want to get more. The inspiration from it, which is good. But then you always get that hit like, yo, I got this idea. I'm like, it's Christmas dinner. We got to talk. Listen, little cuz got another idea. Here we go. But I enjoy that. You know,
Yeah.
I do enjoy that and hearing and seeing. But I feel like too people want you to put in the work for them.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, nah, y'all gotta. I help make a connection and talk about some resources, but you gotta put the work in too. For sure.
Come on now.
That's good.
I remember I was watching the Kevin Hart and Jay-Z interview. He said when he go home for Thanksgiving, that's what happened to him. He said he get a little cousin like, hey man, I got this great idea.
Yeah.
He's like, man, there's a turkey, man.
Right. Yeah, and I love it too. I gotta set boundaries for myself because I'm so business driven. Like I want to talk about that constantly. So I just set the boundary. Like, no, let me say, how are you? How's your life going? How's your kids going? How's those type of things? Because I could just go and start talking about it constantly.
Wow.
And I think people feed off that energy.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, I gotta get better at that because Michelle will tell you right there. I'll be at my mom's house like, let's talk about business one night. I gotta do the same thing. So I'll remember that next time. So okay, let's talk about the beginning. Let's talk about what was your beginning entrepreneur endeavors? Where did it all start?
Yeah, so funny story is like I was selling candy on my book bag. You hear those type of
That
stories?
you were that kid?
I was one of them. Like I'm about to try to make a couple of dollars, and then like bus tickets. So in high school, we used to get bus tickets. But I didn't ride the bus.
Okay.
I don't know how we even got bus tickets because I really live right around the corner. But I'm like, hey, I got a 2 for $2, you know, and I try to do it like a quarter cheaper than what you could buy for it at the station. So that was just kind of hustle, just wanted to make money. But really, for real, I started my first company. I co-founded with my mom when I was doing my undergrad, so about 2015. And it was a whole whirlwind that I did not expect or know what to expect. And then doing that with your mom. So you're working through a lot of different things on a day-to-day basis. But I did that for 4 years. It was really her vision, her and her business partner's vision. And I really just branded it, took it to life, everything from like website development to marketing, contract negotiations. I was like everything because that's how it is in entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And so they were the talent, and I just like made sure that they were getting gigs and getting booked and contracts. Did that for 4 years, and I feel like during that process, I kind of found my own niche in that space of helping people share their stories and brand it and monetize it. And so people was coming to me like, hey, I saw what you do with your mom. And you know, we always putting it everywhere. This was like, we were broadcasting that thing. And so that's why I found like, I have a passion for helping other people in this space, taking their purpose and learning how to monetize from it. And it's been on like full head steam since then. Yeah.
And let me ask you. So, when you say that in doing that, you like, I found the thing I want to do. That's good.
Yeah, I found it, and I feel like I had to go through trial and error because early on I was helping a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs for like maybe like a year or 2 years, and I was like, you know, if you don't come back to the meeting with the things you need to do, then it's like now I'm mad. And I feel like I care more about your idea, your business, than you. Wow. So I had to make a shift about a year or two into my own like consulting and services to say, hey, you know, you're paying me a fee, which is a higher fee than what you would usually pay someone. There's these free resources. If you want someone to hold your hand, here are these people. I can't be that for you.
Yeah.
So I made a shift early on, and my entrepreneur venture was like, let me do this way. And then I started working with the organizations that were servicing entrepreneurs. I would come in, work with them. I did a lot of like program development, community engagement work, until I finally found like what I really felt like I was good at, which is more so on the strategic planning side.
You are the master strategic.
Yeah, on the strategy side, now I'm like, that's what I've been doing like full time, like the last 4 or 5 years, more on the strategy side. A lot of DEI work, because I feel like our lived experiences, I'm like, oh, you can do this well. I'm like, sure I can. Why? Because I check the boxes of these things. But if I can monetize it and I can also have an impact, I've learned to like navigate through that space, and then ecosystem building and community building. So those are like the 3 focus areas that I've been doing heavy within the last 4 or 5 years as a consultant in the space. So it's been a ride to figure out this is like what I really enjoy versus I can do it well, but I don't really enjoy doing it. Defining like the difference between a check, right? So like, I can get a check here and be cool, but am I enjoying it and having fun doing it?
That's good.
And I feel like last year, I'm about to hit my 10 years as an entrepreneur. Yeah. It's been a labor of love, but I feel like after last year I was finally able to say like no to things, and like I felt like I was getting out of survival finally, and saying like, yo, I'm not desperate for a bag no more. Like I can like set my standards, set my price, and if it ain't for me, it's not for me. And that has changed everything, but that's not what it is early on. Right? You gotta do things you don't want to do.
Right.
You gotta talk to people you don't want to talk to. But now, you know, going into year 10, I feel like I'm things are finally like, oh, this is what it's really about. But they don't tell you that early on.
No, they do not. No.
10 years in, it's like, oh wow, this is why I got into it. For real. So yeah, journey of love.
I was ask you about that, and because when you said DEI, I'm like, oh. I'm pretty sure someone watching is not familiar with what it is. What is DEI?
Diversity, inclusion, and equity.
Thank you. Yeah.
Or diversity, equity, inclusion, because it's not DI. You don't want to use that acronym. You want to DEI. So yeah, diversity, inclusion, or equity and inclusion.
Okay.
Yeah. So helping mostly minorities get access to better opportunities, equitable opportunities, and my work has been. It first started in food access and nutrition education. That was my first company I started. And when we talk about in the community, and we were in the community for real, like the communities I come from, and then just the surrounding neighborhoods in Cleveland. And so I was working on a lot of like equity work through that, food desert areas, redlining, looking at the systemic racism aspects of why we are separated from the things that we need to live and have a good quality of life. And then I was kind of naive because I thought that equity, I was like, oh, maybe it's just the food space. So let me like see like what's entrepreneurship in this realm, or what's tech in this realm. And when I got over to other industries, I realized like poverty is, you know, has no barriers in the sense of like what is inequity in that sense, in a way that when you're poor in health, you're poor in finance, you're poor in education, like it's a surface level poverty mindset. So when I figured that out, I was like, oh well, how can I help people try to eat better when they don't have a stove at home? Wow. But like I'm trying to do cooking demos, and I'm working with organizations who have millions of dollars, and they're like giving out like, you know, pot warmers to people who don't even have a working stove. Like that's injustice to me. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to take a step away from this and really focus on how do we build generational wealth. And I look at entrepreneurship now as a pathway to build generational wealth. And that's kind of where my trial and error as an entrepreneur and like community activist and just impact, like social impact driven work has led me over the years.
And I love that I love how you said that the difference between, because a lot of entrepreneurs, they do it for the check, and they don't do it for the passion behind the check, right? And I think that's where a lot of us get caught up in, because I found myself in that same realm too. What would you say to the entrepreneur who is in that realm of doing it for the check versus doing it for the passion? What would you help to encourage? What would you say to encourage them? Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, we need money. Like, I'm not disregarding none of that. Like, we need money. We got to pay the bills. Yeah. But I think sometimes the way you carry yourself or how you treat other people, when money is the only thing on your mind, like, and this is the culture, and I'll use Cleveland as an example because we have, like, the bottom of the barrel culture mindset here. Where like I'm gonna get it by any means necessary. If I gotta step on you, if I gotta rob you, if I gotta do anything to do it, I'm gonna do it. So, and that's what I refer to as a survival mindset. Been there, done it, I get it. But we have to look at ways that we can get out of that, and not just look at the next dollar as the way to pay the bills, but looking at the next dollar as how you're building towards that legacy or that generational wealth. And I learned a lot of that with Dylan, just like working with my mom and those things, like asking like, why are you making this decision? And it'll be like, oh, we're going to get this gig and, oh, my rent is covered for the next 2 months. Like you can't just be like trying to get a check because you want to pay your rent and you got 2 other employees, right? So these are the mindsets of how we're thinking about going into business that I like to challenge. I also know like every business owner or entrepreneur, I ain't their cup of tea, and I'm cool with that. Like, I like to work with entrepreneurs who feel like they're doing it in their purpose, because then I have like a central foundation of like, if you're in your purpose, and we can talk about God, we can talk about why you're here doing it. You're not just doing it because like this is the only thing for you to get out of your situation. Not that there's anything wrong with that, But I feel like now I speak a different type of language, and I just can't sometimes we just don't meet, because it's like, yo, I need to figure out these financials, and those type of people usually are very stressed. Usually they want a lot of demand from you, but they don't want to also put in a lot of the work. They want quick results. Like, it's kind of that like street mentality, and I know a lot of that because of the hustle mentality that I grew up in. So it's really the same, and I've had to really like understand like who is my target audience in that space versus just saying like small business in general, because like I said, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm cool with that. You don't have to like me, we don't have to like each other, but I speak a specific language, and for the people who want it, that it's theirs, and for it's not, like, there's tons of resources out there for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Like, go and get it. I'll help point you in the direction. And I think I found that about myself. Like, I can't fit into someone's box of what they want out of me.
Type so. No, I love that. And I think as entrepreneurs, I think we all have to have that, not saying tough conversation, but we have to come to the realization, like, I'm not going to be for everyone.
Right.
I'm not going to fit in this person's particular vernacular or their mindset, and that's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Like, listen, you, you. It's okay. Okay. You
gotta have tough skin too, and I think I learned that very, very early on in just my childhood. Like, everyone's not your friend. Be careful what you say if you don't want to repeat it. Like those type of things. So now being in this space, it's like, oh wait, those things still apply. Like, wait, people still act like this, and we're adults. But I think for anybody who's in the hustle or in business, like, I think if you want to get more into the thriving side of it and more into like sustainability, you have to really look at your numbers. I think oftentimes we see entrepreneurs and they don't really want to get into the numbers. They just like, they just moving the dollar, they're just moving the product. But like, are you like, do you feel good in your body? Like, do you feel good in your mind? Like, these are the deeper conversations people don't really want to have. So, like, for me, I said I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but, like, I think at the end of the day, no matter what, you're in it for passion, purpose, impact, or just the dollar. Like, you need to understand the dollar. Like, you need to understand, like, what's making you money. What are your customers saying, and then how do you sustain that? How do you scale that over time? Like, that's basic business 101, no matter what category you fall in. So that's what I would tell them. Like, you gotta really understand your numbers and understand like where you want to go, where you see this business in 3 years. Because a lot of times people don't have a business; they have a hobby. Right? We hear that a lot, but like, I just really love selling these T-shirts, but I know I'm not making a profit, and I know like they're selling out my trunk. Like, that's a hobby, and that's cool. But like, you're not gonna like, pay your rent off of that every month, or like make a savings. So
that's so good.
I could talk about that one all
day. But that's good, because a lot of people they can't distinguish between the two though.
Right.
They just like, man, I'm selling these so and so's, and they're paying my gas, and I'm doing so well
day to day, like
day to day, right? Now, not thinking long term or whatnot, but there's this thing is scaling to a point to where you can you're in the distribution, now you're in the logistics, now you're in these different avenues that are able to take your business to the next level. But a lot of people, unfortunately, can move past that first level.
Right, absolutely. And for anybody who's watching who may not know me, like, who does she know about business? So just for references, I've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs in Greater Cleveland area. You know this about me. I also teach at BW, Baldwin Wallace University, John Carroll. So I'm not just talking like, oh, maybe I read a book or two, or I got a side hustle. Like, I'm talking because like these are people that I work with every day, and I've seen it on both sides of like the hustle just got to get in and survive versus like how do we really build into that generational wealth. So always can pick my brain for sure. But you got to understand the context of the conversation sometimes, because I think people just they feel judged too. Like we're artists, we're sensitive about our shit. You know, I do say it. So I don't want to judge nobody on where they're at, but definitely if you're trying to build towards generational wealth, like those are the conversations that we need to be having more.
No, absolutely. I knew it was gonna be a good episode. I already knew it. So okay, so let's get to your resume though. Let's get into that, okay? Cause
not the two, but I'm
no, not the two. No, it's real. Because you work hard for that.
Yeah, I do. Right.
No, absolutely. Sure. And like I call you the queen of collaboration for a reason though, because a lot of people don't know the people behind the very things that they like. When people think about feature line, they know feature line, but they don't know the people behind it and whatnot. And that was I thought that was a great event, in my opinion, for the city as a whole, but just for innovators, creatives, anybody in the city, they were there. And I want to talk about that because once again, that was an effort that I know that wasn't a one man,
No, absolutely
one
not.
person effort. That was a collaborative effort. So I want to get into that because how did it come to be? Where did the idea come from? And how did that project come together for you?
Yeah, for sure. So Futureland is a multi-day conference here in Cleveland, Ohio.
It was so
specific to Cleveland. It's all about culture, art, and technology. And really the idea came from our mayor, Justin Bibb, before he became mayor. Shout out Bibb. He sat with Afrotech. So if anyone knows of Afrotech, is the largest black-led tech and culture infused conference in the country, and I would argue to say probably the world, that puts the culture first and then leads with tech in that space. And so Afrotech goes around to different cities and they pop up their conference. It's a whole like city takeover, similar to what we experienced like Forbes 30 Under 30 last year. It's kind of a similar vibe. And so just to sit down with them is like, yo, we want to get you guys to Cleveland. How the story goes is they say no, like nah, like we you guys don't, basically that we don't have the ecosystem or the community to support something like that right now, because you need people to. We talk about thousands of people come to these conferences and they're die hard. I mean, conference goers, they do not play. They're like, they got their badges, they ready, they ready for that experience. They got the book bags, and I'll be in there now. Like, I'm a conference goer. This is what it's about. So that's how it went down, and so we were like, okay. We understand that we don't have the infrastructure or the exact ecosystem to support something like an Afrotech coming here, but we do have something. What do we have? What can we shine light on? What areas can we build on? And so we started ideating around that. And I think originally the first call went out, it was like 120 people on that call in 2021 of February. So you have to also understand the context of, like, we just pulled off the largest event in All-Star Weekend that our city had in like a decade. So when a call went out, like, we want to do something this year, and everyone was like, yo, like, we not in. So how the story goes is that people just kind of like, the numbers just shrunk and just kind of shrunk and shrunk. So we're like, from February to maybe May, and there's like a solid 6 entrepreneurs still part of the conversation, which now the original co-founders or founders of Futureland, we came up with the ideation, the brand, the name, the theme, and we had support from the city of Cleveland with the mayor's support. Jumpstart, which is the entrepreneurial service provider, one of the service providers here, has a huge backing of technology and portfolios that they invested in, and then the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland, which is a national organizations, and they have chapters, and so Cleveland is a chapter. So from an organizational structure, they supported that, or they supported Futureland, and we just ran and we pulled off something that was like, I think when you pull off something for the first year, people was like, nah, they can't really do it. Like, these little colored people, you know how it is. Like, no, they're not gonna be able to do it. And so the expectation, I would say, was like really low for us in year one. So I think like the hype and what happened, the energy was amazing. We brought Rich Paul in, which is amazing chat. We brought Dawn Dixon in, who's a mogul tech entrepreneur globally. We brought like 60 to 70 speakers for year one. So then year two, it gets real, right? Then you start, having the momentum. Now the expectations up here. People are like, oh man, then Forbes is coming into the city, and like all this. We've created a whole month of tech. So it's been a vibe for sure, and I think what overall the collaboration piece has been like, how do you get more people involved? So yeah, there was the 6 of us, and we held it down because like there was no one else raising their hand for real. So it was us, and now our job really is to continue to take ownership in it, but also steward the movement of Futureland. So how do we get other people like you guys in this space to talk about the things that you're experiencing as entrepreneurs, what type of investment you're looking for? How do we really create this ecosystem? And I think now we can really spend some intentional time on like why Afrotech said no. I think sometimes we jump so into solving like, oh, we'll bet we're gonna prove them wrong, but like there's a reason why, and we have so many entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs of color, leaving our city to go other places because they don't feel like they're supported or invested in here. Like, these are real systemic issues. So you can't just put a pretty bow tie on it and call it Futureland or conference or any type of thing and cover up the root of the systemic issues that we face and equities we face as a city and as a people. And that's really been my passion of me not just with this work, but other initiatives I've been a part of in the city. But it's not easy working with, over the summer when we geared up for the second year for the conference, we were on calls, we're up to 30 people, all working and having their teams and producing the conference. So working with people is not easy. I think the biggest challenge is understanding, like, why are we here, right? So you bring in new people in, you have to understand, like, you're buying in. It's not, you ain't gonna get the biggest check from this. It shouldn't even really be about that, but people have to get paid. So we have to respect that and honor that and support that, because we are talking to entrepreneurs.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing is working with the private sector and the public sector and then government. And then small business owners, right? We roll a different type of way at entrepreneurs. We move. And then we have a system that is historically very slow.
Yeah.
So now we're trying to crash two type of worlds into one, into like a future land, hence the name. But like, how do you create the land from a futuristic standpoint of a mindset to like, even though this is how things have been, it doesn't mean like this has to continue to be. It's like,
And you know what? From now on, I'm going to start using the word ecosystem because I love the term, because when I remember science class and how they talk about creating ecosystems, and how one basically is a symbolic relationship where this entity helps this entity and so on and so forth. And I love that term, because that is a beautiful term to talk about what you have been able to accomplish. And in fact, you help that with entrepreneurs, which I think is dope, by the way.
Another way, like community, right? Same type of thing. I think ecosystem too. Like some people are like, well, what is an ecosystem? Like, there's just another thing that people do to make it seem like it's fancier than a community, but really it is down to earth, like a community. Of people working together, supposedly to work together in true fashion of like, all hands are up to serve versus just like handouts and trying to just put your logo on things and
right. And let's talk about that.
That's another.
Let's not talk about that, but let's talk about how do you vet. So let's say, and I this is a subject that I think that most entrepreneurs need to understand, is that partnership piece, or those who want to collaborate together. How do you vet the right people to collaborate with, in your opinion? And not just as an entrepreneur. If I'm an entrepreneur and I'm new, and I say, man, I see so and so doing their thing over here, I want to collaborate with them. How should they go about collaborating with them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you could tell a lot about people by just listening to them. So like, go out to lunch. Like, don't just jump in and talk about your ideas. Like, go out to lunch, go grab a drink if you like to have a drink, go grab coffee, build a relationship, build a rapport with somebody. And only why I say that is because I've done it the opposite, where I'm like, yo, Brian, I see what you doing, that podcast out, my podcast out, we should just jump in. But then we in it and like, you run your podcast a whole different way. And I don't really like what you be doing. I don't like the language for real, or maybe I don't like the environment. And before I know it, we signing contracts, and now maybe like the way you handle, maybe you don't even have an LLC, so how you doing your taxes? Like, you don't even know this if you just, yo, can we just like jump on the pod and do some collaboration? Like, intentionality is key to collaboration for me.
Take it away from me, Brittany. Take it away. I'm gonna be hitting it all night. That's
like
good,
building
though.
a relationship, and I've done stuff where it's just like, oh, this looks really good. Like, oh, I'm like, I'm like, sign me up right now. And then it's like a relationship. Like, you getting into bed or a marriage with somebody, and you didn't court them, you didn't date them.
Right? Yes.
And all of a sudden, now you on social media, y'all got a co-brand together, you got photos, and like, now it's like, oh wait, I'm in too deep. I'm in too deep. You know, put a ring on it. I don't even like this man. You know, propose and everything. Yeah. So intentionality, I said, it definitely start with learning the person, breaking that bread, learning each other. Know who you labor amongst. I mean, I'm a spiritual, biblical person, so it's like, go back to the basics of like who you're working with. Understand them. Know who their mom is. Like, I mean, it's going back to like those things, because I take it serious, and I think now going through, and I've worked on a lot of projects, and I'm a collaborator by nature. Like, I love working with people, but what I've learned is like, not everyone has that or desires that. So you can't force that on other people. Right. Like, you hearing a lot of people like, don't expect you out of somebody. Yeah. And I'm like, that sounds so cliche, until it was like, dang, I was driving literally on Sunday. I'm like, I felt like I just heard it in my head, like, don't expect that out of somebody that you would do. That's who you are. You're a connector. You're a collaborator. Either you can help train people or teach people, but you can't expect that out of people.
I'm sorry I don't have that box. That is so good. And And I'm with you. I've learned the hard way.
To the point now, you don't even want to. Now I'm like, I'm gonna just do it by myself.
Yeah. And you don't want to. I feel like you don't want to get to that point. But that happens though. Yeah, because you hit your head too many times.
Yeah.
But once again, don't let it discourage you to be open to those opportunities though.
For sure.
Like you said, it's like I think the key word from today's episode is being intentional.
Intentionality.
Yes.
And for sure, like I'll have a couple dates. Like I'm still not really feeling. I won't force it now.
Yeah.
And then like now you have to try to communicate that with the other person because they thinking like
it's all good.
And they're like, wait, you want to meet and you want to talk about like, yeah, do you have a proposal? Like, what we doing? Because now people are approaching me more so, more often, and I'm like, I just first of all, time is a priority. Like it's like I don't have time to just be doing everything anymore that I used to say yes to.
Yeah.
But also, like, not everything is for you. So there's something that people just... And I'm like, I can support you. Like, I can connect you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, like, I have to be, like, co-laboring in this venture with you. So I think it's just understanding, like, the boundaries and the seasons you are in, too. But definitely that understanding, like, you got to get to know that person and understand, like, what are they in it for, too? And what the expectations are. Like, what do you really expect from me? Are you looking for sponsorship? Are you looking for some warm leads? Like asking those direct questions, like you would on a date. Do you want kids? Do you own your home? What's your credit score? Like, yo, why are we so like tippy-toeing around like doing business with other people? Like, how much did you revenue last year? Like, what was your quota on quarter two? Like, I want to know. We about to get into a contract, like because Instagram and social media, that's the other piece. Like, I've gotten into some situations where I'm like, I'm going based off the profile I see. So I'm like, oh man, it would be great. Like you and I, what you do, what I do, and then you start to get into work, and I'm like, I'm wondering why you can't respond to an email or why you haven't did your part of the proposal, and come to find out, you're really not doing.
Would you say you really do?
So this is why you have to vet. Like I want to know, like, what are you doing? How many gigs are you doing? How many bookings do you have? Who's your client? Like, at this point, it's time. Time is money. So we have a couple meetings. That's a couple 3 hours. I can do a lot in 3 hours with my computer. Like I go to work on that thing. So yeah, that's what I would say for real.
No, and like I said once again, and I believe that someone watching right now and they're like, oh, she's speaking to me right now, because too often we like I said, we see a person doing something great and we're like, man, if we did this together, we do something great together.
Yes.
And then like you said, it's like I think you when you say it, like it's like dating, it really is.
It is.
You know, and being intentional, and you probably are saving plenty of people plenty of time just being able to say just that, being intentional what you want to do, and vet that person properly.
And try some small things. Like I think we're big dreamers as entrepreneurs. Like we want to go big. Like I want to do this major conference.
Yeah.
And I want you to like, okay, why don't we like go have a walk in the park first? Like why don't we do like a small event or something like? Why don't we go live on IG? Let's see if you can show up on time. Like let's see if you can like promote it properly. Like
that's good.
Do some smaller things first. That's also part of my vetting process. Is like okay, let's do some like. Small things,
small
you know, see if you could actually cook, you know, because people be like flexing for real, but like they say they'll cook, I'm like, you can't get that's frozen vegetables that you didn't. Believe me, I've been in some situations. So and this is like I said, I think dating is a perfect example of like how you would date or court someone. It's like business dating. So
no, listen, that's a whole lesson right there.
Yeah, never thought of it that way.
No, so okay, so let's talk about your podcast, because once again you're a podcaster, and I once again I love having other podcasters on our platform because people think podcasting is easy.
People think business is easy, right?
Yeah, right. So let's talk about Maslow, right? Because I love your platform, because and like y'all know I'm a podcast connoisseur, right? And I love positive podcast. I don't like podcasts that tear people down, that try to I got you TMZ type joints. That ain't me.
No.
I love your podcast because once again you have entrepreneurs and you have people, creatives, artists, just people doing dope things. So let's talk about how did you start with your podcast?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Maslow actually started. I created the brand January 2020, and I was like, I finished my MBA, and I was just like, man, I just want to write. I've always found myself to be a writer, and I'm like, now that I finished school, I'm gonna have all this time on my hands. No, cap. So I started writing some blogs, and then boom, right? Like I think I maybe published 2 blogs on the platform before COVID happened. And it was like, all right, well, what am I about to do now? I had finally got this big old vision to create Mas Lorraine. Mas Lorraine means more light. Lorraine is my middle name, which means light. And I wanted to really produce this positive message, this pure message for our generation through blogging, through our platform. And then COVID happened. I'm like, all right, well, what's really going on out here in the streets? And that's how I felt. And I saw so much of the media talking about the negative things. And the work I was doing at that time was around food access. And I saw so many people in the community doing the PPE, like doing the handouts, like doing the food. I'm like, no, this is great work, but you're not seeing it on the news at all.
No.
So I'm like, I'm gonna do like Facebook Live. This is when like Facebook Live was just starting off for real. And I was doing interviews. I called it #Saturday Support, and we literally did like almost 40 episodes in 2020, from like, I don't know, April through December, and it was all about social impact. It was people who were doing positive work. We interviewed people from like fashion icon designers who were still out in the trade, like people were still trying to hustle, like people still had to live during COVID. And then we saw the justice, like the social injustice happen with George Floyd. And again, another thing that the media just did such a negative, everything was just so dark. And I'm like, wait, I went to the protest downtown. Like, it was cool until it wasn't, right? But like, how do we talk about what worked? And so I used all of that to really, what we call was like reposition the limelight on the positive impact that was happening in the community. Thank you. Instead of the negative. And that's really how it just like, and then from there, just like, before I knew it, here we are now, 4 years, and it just has grown, and it's really created its own like multimedia platform where we help share, connect, and inspire through storytelling and uplifting voices. So the podcast is cool. I don't even consider myself as a podcaster for real. Like I really don't, but I love just connecting with other people, and I use the platform to do that. But I'm hoping that we can add more podcasters to our platform who has a positive look on life and wants to create that and spotlight that change or those impacts or draw attention to these issues and really just create that, continue driving that platform.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's been Mas Lorraine has been a labor of love for me because the strategic side of the work that I do in consulting, it doesn't really allow me to be creative. It's very critical. I got to come in, I got to dress a certain way, I got to really be on, I got to really be sharp, and I don't get to tap into my creativity. So with Mas Lorraine, and hence the creative meetups and these other things, it allows me to also look at myself as a creative and as an artist too. So I've had to create that balance because the work, this injustice work, the inequity, like this stuff is draining. Like I leave some meetings and then it's just like, I don't want to talk to them ever again. Like I don't want to talk to these people. So going and doing the podcast the next day, like it lifts my spirit. It ignites me.
Keep that for me.
Yeah, so like that's how I've done it, and hopefully as the consulting skills I can continue to do, grow both, and add people to both sides of it. That's because cool. Like it's a good balance for me, and I feel like I'm needed in both of those spaces. So,
that's good.
Yeah. If I can clone myself, that I can make a lot more money. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I get that, and I love how you said that. The podcast, or not the platform, because not even podcast, like it's bigger than that. Because you're the blog.
Carrying that load? Drop the house. Gutter Properties will buy your house as is with offers up to $300,000. Need serious repairs, liens, taxes, or judgments? We'll work through your unique situation to get that house off your back. During your free, no-obligation appraisal, we maintain social distancing and take every precaution to ensure your experience is safe. Drop the house. Gutter Properties. Call us or visit gutterproperties.com.
You have these different avenues that it's a multimedia conglomerate now, and I think that's dope. And I never thought about how, even with me at the pull-up, like, you're right, my days are draining. And I'll be looking forward to interviews. I'll be like, okay, we got so-and-so. I'm like, all right, I already know my hags, and it pours into me, and I just love that. The same thing happens for you with your
I can show up as me. Sometimes in some of these rooms, because I am a woman, I'm a minority, like I'm also young, and it's like sometimes you have to be like extra on key. And I learned like what we would call code switching is I don't want to have to code. I'm at a point now, like, I should be able to show up in my Nikes and show up in my t-shirt and still be well respected if I have a blazer on.
Thank you.
So that's the platform I feel like I'm finally in now.
Yeah.
Like, I can't front. There was times that, yes, I had to have the full suit on.
Yeah.
I had to come in with it. Like, I had to be on T because there couldn't be no excuses to like no, she's not the one. So I'm gonna talk the language. I'm gonna learn the language. I'm gonna talk it, and I'm gonna make sure that you feel comfortable around me. That's a job. And as women, especially women of color, like you have to make sure. Oh, does he feel comfortable? Like I gotta wear my hair a certain way. I gotta dress a certain way. And it's like now it's like. Bet. Now I'm like, I'm not for, you heard me, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but before I'm like, drink my tea, like this is the best tea, this is universal tea, but now it's like, I'm confident in who I am, and I know that what God has for me is for me. So,
no, that's good. Ooh, that's so good.
That's my pure message for the day.
No, that's so good.
That is good.
And I want to make sure, because I want to make sure we take time out to talk about creative meetups, because I think that's, once again, another dope collaborative effort that you have put together, which, once again, gives a platform to artists, innovators, creatives as a whole.
Everybody.
It's a room.
Everybody.
If you're not in creative meetups, I don't know what you're doing. And I just want to thank you for, once again, thinking about us, the Flip Experience, and letting us be a part of it, because I've met some great people in those rooms.
The energy.
And listen, what are you doing?
Right. Once a month.
Once a month, yes. And now I want to make sure we talk about the Spark grant, because I think that's, once again, that's a dope thing in itself. Like it's not enough of a setup. I don't know what it is. But let's talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. So like the creative meetups, that's just another thing I saw everyone doing. Like everyone does these great things, right? I'm like, okay, what if we just bring our brands together for one event that's casual? Like you don't have to be put on. I'm just me. I'm show up just me. Everyone just coming and they're just them. Yeah. And I'm like, why don't we bring all that energy that we do at our own events and just put it into this and make it casual and just a meetup. Come as you are. We network. We talk about the issues that we're facing. And then we usually wrap with this open mic forum where people can feel like they can express themselves creatively, they can express their issues or their challenges they're facing, and then they can have some Q&A time with everyone in the audience. So that's really, it's really simple. Like, it's not nothing fancy, but I think my goal in it was I want to bring these creatives together who are doing great things, who have a following, who have an audience, and their audience trusts you. So if you post something, they know like, oh, Brandon's behind this. Like, I'm going to come. That was really the intentionality behind it, was like, I know people who follow Morgan and Poetry Unplugged, like, they rock with Morgan and Poetry Unplugged. So if Morgan's a part of this, they're going to rock with her, and that's how you blend, and that's how you cultivate community, like, this trustworthy concept. So that's really been the vibe with the Spark Grant, and again, I've been using it to hype people up, but these dollars, and this is just my background in these spaces. I've been working with nonprofits for almost 10 years. Our city is really ran by nonprofits. We have one of the strongest philanthropic communities, arguably in the world. The first social impact investment fund was started in Cleveland ever, from the Cleveland Foundation.
Wow. So
when you talk about how dollars are spent or how dollars are utilized and distributed here, everything ties back to nonprofits. So we have a lot of foundations, we have a lot of grants, and so understanding that, just the background that I have, I'm like, okay, well, why are there still disparities? So when I look at, okay, let's just map this out. We have one of the strongest philanthropic communities in the world, arguably. We have the largest chamber of commerce in the country, which is Greater Cleveland Partnership.
Wow.
But yet, we are the top 3, top 2, arguably, in poverty for the last decade, if not more. The math ain't mathing, right? That's what we're hearing. The math ain't mathing. So for me, I've used not just creative meetups, but Futureland, these other initiatives that I've been a part of. It's like, okay, where's the accountability thread here? Because the community, and when I say community, like, I'm not talking about a place I drive through to get to my job.
Right.
I'm talking about when I look out there, I know people in that community by name. Okay, I either have family there, or I grew up there, or somehow it's connected to me. Yeah. So that's another thing about being from Cleveland. Like, I'm not just someone who just drive through to get to my job and hope they put a highway in, because that's what has happened across our city. So when I look at these injustices, I'm looking at that framework.
Yeah.
So with this grant, that backstory is important because the new Spark grant is great, but it's not enough, right? I'm hoping that what it does is it builds our community to be more aware of the opportunities. Because last night, what I mentioned to everybody is like, yo, this is a couple dollars, right? But there's billions of dollars that are going through our cities in nonprofit funds. In nonprofit funds that are supposed to be for you and me.
Yes.
Supposed to be for everybody in that room, but yet there's a disconnect. So this is why I've been hired as a consultant in these spaces, because I've been the bridge in a lot of spaces.
Come on now.
I'm bringing the resources. I'm working to bring those resources into our communities. I'm building the trust. So I'm like, hey, we're gonna throw this backyard barbecue. And we're gonna invite Timmy over. Timmy, bring the resources, and I want to introduce you to so and so, right? Because there's mistrust. There's a lot when we look at the social injustices. There's a lot of barriers and variables of why we don't have the justices that we need. One of them is trust. So if Brandon shows up and he brings his 10 friends, there's a trust bridge here. So now I can trust Brandon. So I'm using that approach in a lot of the work that I've been doing, and it has like worked tremendously. I've been able to connect hundreds of entrepreneurs in the city to resources that they would never have known of if they weren't in these spaces with me. And I'm like, yo, I know Susie who works at so-and-so. Let me do this call. I'm not just giving you a business card.
Right.
Because our giving business cards to our community members, like, it don't work.
Yeah.
The weight of it is not the same as if it was in predominantly white neighborhoods and communities. Understanding that this is why cultural competency is critical. You got to be able to talk and know and have the lived experiences. And this is why, in my opinion, why I keep getting brought back into because at this point I'm like, aren't y'all? I think some people tired of me because I'm waving the flag like this is not right.
Yeah.
But yet it's like it's the juice. So you can't deny me access. And now if I'm bringing 250 people with me, bet.
Yeah.
Now it's like this is mobilization. This is organizing. We need to get back to that. When we talk about the civil rights movement, we mobilized. We weren't afraid. Yeah, we put our lives. People put their lives and died for it. And now we're scared to just speak up at a city hall meeting.
Yeah.
I don't have the time. So that'd be my soapbox. That's where I can talk about that all day because the grants, they're cool and I want to get people excited about it. But the goal is to talk about, it's like leading them you just you bait them in and this is a whole other world that exists over here. So let's get people excited about $1,000 or $2,000 to know there's a $100,000 grant on the table.
Wow.
The city of Cleveland just launched a $3.5 million grant for arts and culture. Up to $250,000 you can get out of that. How many? I want to know the data when it comes out after people apply because all that will be public. How many of our people in our community applied for that? And how many were denied? And then how are we going to triple that number next year? Because and preparing people to how do you apply for the grants? How do you get them ready for the grants? These are the questions that came up last night.
I'm about to say so many hands went up.
So we're not even ready for $100,000 or $250 because we're so thriving off of 1,000. I'm happy for that. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I'm like, by the end of the year, we should be looking at how do we get $100,000 into creative meetups because the demand is there, not because Alysha says so. And that's the narrative that I'm hoping that we shift because a lot of the rooms I've been in, it's been my voice. And although I represent a community, people are kind of tired of don't call her back in this room type of thing. So I'm like, bet. Now when I go to spaces, I'm bringing 3 or 4 or 5 people with me. Because we are talking the same language. But I can't be the only voice or only body representing that anymore.
No, that's so good.
That's the work. That's why I need the podcast. You feel me? That's why I need the creative meetups because it's the balance of those worlds. Because the activism or the advocacy work, that's a labor of love. When you look at the Malcolm X's and the Martin Luther Kings, when you look at them, that's a labor of love to risk your life. And I'm no. risking my life out here.
But you are the forefront of those
Yeah.
of those issues and whatnot. And like now, I know people watching, they didn't know about the disparity that we have as a city now. Now, shoot, now you're watching like, damn, I didn't know that until now. Or not. Like I'm sitting here, I'm like, I knew about them, but not to the lengths of now.
And you don't have to go get a class. Like I said that, I spelled that out in less than like 2 or 3 minutes.
Exactly.
And I could probably do it in 30 seconds now because I said it so much.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh wait, the math really ain't math.
Yeah.
So like, okay, then what rooms do we need to be in? Because oftentimes with the experience that we don't have the time. We're so busy working, we're picking up the kids, we're doing all this, we're busy. So how do we make the time and prioritize the time to say, hey, what's the return on investment? This is why you got to talk dollars. The return on investment for small businesses is understanding taxpayer dollars, where they're coming from, knowing that there's tax breaks on these storefronts and on these remodel. Like, the dollars are there. You have to show up. But we're so caught up in the survival, like, no, I got to be in my store because, like, I'm the only one here. And if I'm not here, then I don't get the money for the rent this month. Like, and so it becomes this, like, paradox of, like, how do I get here, but I'm stuck here, right? So
that right there. And I think we have to move past that, though, because, like, at the end of the day,
ain't no more excuses.
There's no more excuses. There we go. Title episode. That's good.
And that's why I feel like now I have an obligation. Like, I know too much now to be quiet. And I feel like it's only going to be God's protection and wisdom and discernment that allows you to navigate these spaces. Because when you're in these rooms now, it's just like, now you walk in, it's kind of like, oh, this is they heard that podcast. Ooh, they done saw this, or because now I have a platform too. So now it's like, I don't need you to validate me. Or the communities that you're supposed to be representing. Like, we're coming heavy. And when like I said, I'm a believer in God, so it's just like, God got me. You can't take nothing that's not for me anyway. So good luck.
I wasn't ready, Alysha. I wasn't ready. No. Okay. So we talk about the past, talk about the present, talk about the future. What did the future hold for you?
That's a good question. You know, I've always been a planner. So my undergrad was actually in regional planning, urban planning. This is when I learned about all these disparities. I didn't know how people talked about poor people. I was like, we just going, we just playing outside. But when I started learning about it, I fell in love with the background of it and planning. Like, I wanted to plan out everything, man, because no one in my family ever had a plan. So I'm like, maybe this is the key. Maybe this is the one thing that can break the curse is a plan. So I started like diving in. I was a heavy planner. I would say the last 2 years, my planning is like my tools had to shift. Like I'm a believer that when you're in survival, you have certain tools you need to survive. Like, yo, we going to war. Every day's a war. We gotta fight. When you're out of that, you can't take those same weapons to where you're going. You need new weapons. And so I feel like I've been in this really interesting transition now of like, what does this look like beyond now? One thing I would say is definitely continuing to invest in social enterprises, into how to help people take their purpose, identify their purpose, discover their purpose, and monetize that. Because I really believe, like, my life, and I'm an open book, literally wrote a book about my life. I'm an open book on how you can really learn your identity through God. God would then show you your purpose, and then God would then help you monetize that purpose. It's really like rinse and repeat. And so I feel like my life is a living testament of that. And I hope that if I can just touch one person and doing that on a continuous basis, like that one turns into 100, that turns into 1,000, that turns into more and more. And we just build. Like, I want to build with people who are walking in their purpose. I believe if 1 and 2, we ignite that power, and we're like that force multiplication that goes out. Man, I don't know what that's going to look like because we haven't seen it. I don't think we've seen it. If you're fully in your true self and your full purpose, and I'm functioning that, you're functioning that, and we all connect, what is that?
What does it look like?
What does that look like? Like, I think, like, when I think about a plan for that, I don't know, I have a lot of plans. I got a lot of goals, but, you know, they said, like, you want to make God laugh, right? Showing your plans. I feel like God really been laughing at me heavy lately, and I'm like, hey, I'm funny. Like, I'm really a comedian. So, I don't know. I think I just want to continue being where I'm at. And allowing God to, like, blow my mind, for
That's good. That's good. I think so. You're episode 187. And like I understand I compare answers or whatnot, but that's a great answer. Like let God blow my mind. Okay.
Because the expectation is like I serve a God that can do that.
Come on now.
So now I'm just
you're
like,
preaching here.
man, you already know. I'm just like, I don't want to put limits on God. I feel like I put limits on God for a very long time, and God is still blowing my mind. So if I remove some of those limits, like, man, I'm surprised. Now we done broke through survival and generational curses. Like, now what?
Yeah.
Now I feel like, for me, I don't even think I fully like got into it all the way. Like now it's just like we're just really getting getting started. Because if I just now became who my true self, now it's just like everything from here is just force multiplication. And I track that, so I'm hoping that even with those collaborations and going through those vetting processes, like I hope now that I attract who I am and I'm becoming. Versus before, I know what I was attracting. Don't get me wrong, I was attracting some mess, but I believe in that for sure.
That's good. I knew this episode was gonna be good. I didn't know how good it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? I knew it was gonna be good. I knew it, but this is so good. Okay, so you guys know we love asking these 4 core questions. We gonna figure out the title of these things, but one day. One of these days. But we like to ask these questions because they're, I feel like, you were talking about being your purpose, full of experience. I feel like purpose. We wanted to give a platform to the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the creators.
Flowers to y'all too. I mean,
thank you.
For sure. I believe since like day one, been saying like this is one of the fastest, hottest growing podcast in the city. Being a podcaster too, so like, what y'all have done and what you guys continue to do it's amazing, right? So just continue. I don't know how you do it because I'm like it's 7:30. I gotta be out here. I don't be out here like this. I've been tucked at this point, but no, the hustle, the passion around it, and the going back to intentionality. You can see you see it in every episode and the people. So that 200, I don't know what y'all have in store, but you let me know if you try to collaborate. I'll definitely, discuss that because I feel like that 200 is a milestone. Yeah. And you have to, you gotta go hard. And the rate y'all going, 200 gonna be next week.
Yeah. No, listen. I said that too. I think I told Michelle, I was like, I think we're gonna hit 200 like before, because we trying to wait till David Shan got him. I think we might get there before he get here. So we'll see. You guys might slow it down a little bit.
And going with it, staying consistent. What God gives you something, it's like, I don't care who shows up or who falls off, or maybe it's not their season, but like, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. You've been pulling up. That's for sure. I'm pulling up. Like, that's it.
No, I received that.
Kudos to you, man.
No, listen. And shout out to the team. Shout out to Steve.
Yeah.
Steve!
For
Love
sure.
Steve.
Yes.
Steve is A1's the day one.
Yes, right.
And then we just have a solid team. And like I said, you want to talk about collaboration. That's why I said I give you all the praise for your collaboration, because like I know what it's like collaborating with people to a certain extent. Let me say, not the level that you have, but dealing with personalities, dealing with people, and whatnot. But I feel like, like you said, everyone that we have on the team, I feel like we also division. Yeah. We not where we want to be. We damn sure not where we used to be, and it's getting gooder and gooder, as I like to say. So
that's good.
So okay, so the first question I want to ask you is, like you alluded earlier, but we know Cleveland doesn't have the reputation of being a collaborative city. How do you feel like we can change that narrative?
I think these type of conversations, I think you have to teach. What I've learned is that you have to teach collaboration. I feel like I've been teaching the people I've been collaborating with along the way. Like, you have to teach it because we have a mindset that it's you. It's always is you. You got to get it. You got to get it by any means necessary. And really, you don't care about the people on your left and the right. For real, if we're really talking. So I feel like it has to be taught. And not that you have to lead with dollars, but like the return on investment. If you're talking with people, like, you have to understand, like, there is a return on investment with collaboration too. But I think it has to be taught. I feel like if we're going to continue to shift the culture here, you have to either create a new culture or insert it into the culture. Because right now, our culture doesn't celebrate collaboration. Yeah. They don't talk about collaboration. And collaboration is not just putting your logo on something.
Exactly.
that is not collaboration. Like, and or putting some dollars on it and say we're collaborators or even partners. Like, no, you're a sponsor. Like, that's what this is. And understanding the definition. Like, this is not rocket science, folks. It's black and white. Like, just understanding the definition. So I think it's something we have to talk more about. And like push through the barriers of our fears, because it's rooted in fear of why we don't collaborate. Or maybe she's gonna take something that's mine. It's like, no, if you know who you are, you know what's for you is for you, right? So it's just getting back to that, and I think that comes from training and teaching, for sure.
No, that's
simple as I can put it. We gotta teach each other.
You gotta teach each other, yeah. It's not natural, unfortunately, in our city. And I know Cleveland has a stigma of not. There's a reason why it has a stigma, right? But I believe we're in a renaissance. Cleveland, and once again, the efforts you have done are leading the way. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, is there anyone particularly you would love to collaborate in the future?
That's a good question. You asked that earlier. I'm like, man, who would I want to collaborate? It's crazy. I don't know what these really mean, but I've had a couple dreams. I'm a dreamer. Like,
okay, come on.
I'm a dreamer for sure. Like, I've had a couple, like, no, for real, like sleep dreams, you know, not like just visionary dreams, like them dreams. And I've had a couple dreams with Beyonce and Jay-Z in my dreams, and it's been about business. And they turn into like investment deals. So I feel like what we're building, and I've followed a lot of Jay-Z's investments over the years into black and brown companies and startups and those things. And I feel like what we've been building here in Cleveland of our Ignite network of members, it's like, all right, what does this look like when we hit like 5,000 members from an investment standpoint? So that's kind of where my head goes. I would love to collaborate with someone like a mogul like Jay-Z who sees the value in...
I know you watch Jay-Z.
Yeah, Jay, I see you. That see the value in brown and black ideas. You know, I interviewed the CEO of Revolt at Futureland, Dontavio, and he's amazing. The way that he just talked about black creatives and brown creatives, it's like someone like that. I was like, when you can speak a universal language with somebody, and be like, man, I like, and he's also another like person who believes in God, so we can be prayed up going to that conversation, even better. But those type of people, I feel like, on a collaboration level, would be great.
And I know they're watching. I know you guys are watching.
Yes,
I know you guys are watching.
Right.
So let's stop playing, okay? Y'all come Cleveland, come to Alysha, okay?
But all of us, that'd be the thing. It's like when I get called, it's like, listen, we all pulling up like Jay-Z in town, like coming, all right, bye. I got my solid 20. Not everybody, but you're gonna have to come right with he comes to the conversation.
You know, that's
can't bring so and so. You know so and so.
Yeah, you
have to hold off on him. Maybe the second meeting.
No, that's good right there.
That's the vetting process.
This vetting process. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, and I guess that comes to me. This has been so good. I've learned a lot from you, by the way.
Thank you.
First time meeting you, and won't be the last time I see you.
Yes, absolutely.
So again, for legacy, we kind of touched on it, but you have a lot of things, even more to come in the future for yourself. When it all comes down to it, Alysha, what would you like for the legacy to be for you, and then for every business, collaboration, everything that you've built, throughout your lifetime, what would you like for it to be?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think for me, it just goes as simple as like, I made a declaration when I was in high school with my sister to say like, it stops with us, those generational curses. So I think when I think about legacy, it's like, no, this is it. When I do have children, I want my children to have a better upbringing. I want my children to have access to education. I want my children to I want to be able to invest in my children's ideas at 5, 6, 7, 10 years old. So when I think about legacy, that's what I think about, is that those curses are broke and they never coming back.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's gotta be the best.
Yeah, I'm outside.
Yeah.
And then you duplicate that by every entrepreneur I work with. That's why I talk about purpose, because when we're talking about these are things that are rooted. So I hope that when I'm connecting with entrepreneurs, we're talking the same language. Like, no, you're gonna be the last. This is it.
Yes.
And when we ain't looking back, we ain't going back. Yeah.
That's good.
Well, this one's gonna become more of a challenge question because you've given us so many gems. Brandon been lighting that thing up.
I really have.
This is gonna be a challenge. But for everything that you've told us from beginning to end, we now have to kind of condense it down. And what would you like for 3 takeaways to be for someone that's watching?
Ooh,
I know.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
You've been giving it gem after gem.
Yeah, I think I'll just stick with what I feel like I've been sharing a lot is your identity as a person and God. God would then lead you into your purpose, and then you can monetize that purpose. I mean, it's really just those three simple things. Collaboration comes with that. I feel like anybody who is in line with that, in line with God, like you should be collaborating. You should be leading with intention. Like all those are the fruit of you knowing who you are, you walking with God and knowing your purpose, and then the monetization, the sustainability of that, the scalability of that comes from that. So those are three things: identity, purpose, and monetizing from it.
Come on now.
All right.
Yeah.
Simple as that, y'all.
Simple.
This
And get with me if you want to learn how. I mean,
so listen,
Yes.
I was about to say the most important question: where
That's
can the people
right.
reach you? Where can they learn more? Where can they
That's
book
right.
you? Where can they? I need to get with Alysha. Where can I get more?
yeah, I'm on all social like everyone else, pretty much. Alysha, Alysha. L stands for Lorraine, my middle name, Ellis. And then if you want to check out Moss Lorraine, it's Moss Lorraine on all social. Also YouTube, we have a website. You can check out our platform there. Our apparel's on there. We're knocking off some cool things this year.
It's dope, by the way.
Thank you. It's been, like I said, labor of love. But yeah, on all social, for sure.
And by the way, for lazy people, it will be in the show notes, so you don't have to go
That's
nowhere.
it.
It'll be right there. So
Make
I
it
don't want no
simple.
excuses, okay?
For sure.
This has been such a great episode.
Yeah.
And it's keep getting gooder and gooder. I know it's not a word, but in my opinion,
That's it.
having great people like Alysha on just to tell the great story, it really does bless us.
Yeah.
And I can't thank you enough. Thank you for coming
Appreciate
on.
it.
So guys, like they said, we gotta pay some bills. Guys, April 18th, we have done it. We are bringing the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, listen.
Yes.
Mr. David Shands, creator of Social Proof Podcast, is coming to Cleveland. And guess what, guys? He's coming here, and you get the ticket for free. Yes, free. Free. Listen.
I'll be there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Listen, text podcast number to 33777. If you're looking to start your podcast, you're looking to monetize your podcast, in line with what Alysha was talking about earlier, Mr. Shands is going to tell you how to do just that. And also, just get in the room. Be in the room. There's going to be other people who are doing great things in the city, so just be in the room. And I can't thank you enough for doing that ahead of time. Head over to Brittany.
All right, and you guys tune in to my weekly podcast, Beauty Told. Again, thank you, girl. Again, give you guys great advice when it comes to relational, lifestyle, finances. Just want us to be an overall just better self. So again, having great guests on from time to time. We give a nice little spin to those topics, and I can't wait to see y'all there. See you then.
And then Creedy Minutes. When is the next one, Alysha? That's what I remember.
I want to say April 8th.
April 8th, okay,
Right.
guys.
Mondays, once a month. Also
Once a
on our
month,
site,
yes.
on social media too. So pull up if you're in Cleveland to create a
Come on
meetup
now.
to survive.
Come on, guys. Yes. Guys, and lastly, I want to thank you. Yes, you, the person watching and the person listening, because once again, you guys are showing us that you guys love stories, great stories like Alysha's, that inspire, empower, and educate you. And we can't thank you enough because, like Alysha said, now this is not me. This is numbers, okay? We are growing.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. We're growing at a rate that is awesome. We can't thank you enough. And I think it's because you guys, one, we're in our purpose. We want to create a platform that literally showcases us doing great things, and y'all obviously love it. So continue to share, continue to like, continue to watch, and we can't thank you guys enough for that. Okay, thank you so much, guys. This is episode 187. We're on the road to 200 episodes. It is unheard of. Okay, most podcasts don't make it past episode 10. We're done it time and time again. And once again, we're not running anytime soon. Michelle, how we booked to win, Michelle? End of September. So anybody, please don't get offended by if we tell you, hey, we're going to December. It's the truth. It's not we can do about it. But that goes shows that we're not slowing down anytime soon. Okay. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Okay. Peace.